The worst year for a lot of us for our mental as well as physical health. So joining us this morning is best-selling author, coach, and fitness expert, Lisa Goldenthal.
Hello and welcome. I'm Lisa G, your host. You're at the top of your game, yet the game is changing faster than ever. Strategies that got you here aren't the ones that'll keep you here. The pressure is relentless and the fear of obsolescence looms large. That's why I'm here. Welcome to the new podcast series, Disrupted: How to Be Gritty and Unlock Performance. This is your chance where I sit down with today's top experts in business, mindset, wellness, and success to help you master disruption and thrive.
Thanks for coming, and I'll see you soon.
He's a certified executive coach accredited by the International Coaching Federation. His 30 years in leadership experience, he's worked multiple industries, helping organizations create psychological safety to drive higher employee engagement and organizational performance. He provides deep insights to many topical issues with his primary focus to be a thought partner with people leaders to be most effective and have the impact they desire. I'm so excited to welcome to the podcast, Brian Hughes. Welcome.
Oh, great. I'm pleasantly pleased to be with you today to share some thoughts and wisdom.
Well, I'm so excited. Let's jump right in because I love that topic of psychological safety. So can we start with that one? How can we create psychological safety within organizations?
Yeah, and I love this topic. I started introducing this into organizations many years ago, and most recently spent a lot of time and energy helping leaders really reflect on their own mindset around psychological safety and what that really means. And it's kind of a scary topic, is what I've discovered for many people. And when you put some definition and some structure around it, and that, it really helps people get their head wrapped around it, because really it's about being open to listening and creating a space where people can be authentic and really tell you what they're truly thinking and make it okay, even when you don't agree with it. And that really takes some effort from all of us, because we all have our own judgments and our perspective. So really, it's being open-minded to finding exactly what is important to you as an individual, really understanding what your preferences are and understanding other people's preferences, and then really leaning into that to help people really authentically show up. And that takes some conscious effort, and often you need some people to help you through that to really get in the right mindset to help individuals feel comfortable and safe to speak up freely without any kind of repercussions by upsetting somebody or saying something that maybe not quite common. So that's really what it comes down to, is foundational mindset from the leader, and then setting the expectation it's okay to share your honest feedback and be willing to openly accept it. That's really what is the foundation of helping create the most effective, I think, psychologically safe environments.
Well, I just love this topic because here we are in this whole new era of remote work and quiet quitting and disengaged employees, and people need to understand also too that when you listen to other people, you don't have to be agreeing with them, but people need to be heard, and then possibly you can just reframe what they said back to them and get into some active listening so that these people that work for you, they are the people that you need. How expensive is it if you're gonna have to like replace them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great call out. And what I discovered, actually, I just recently, as of today, I was at a business owner lunch and networking thing, and I was the keynote. And we were talking a little bit about psychological safety. And I was impressed with some of the vulnerability of some of the leaders, because they're uncomfortable with being vulnerable. And they say that's their biggest challenge of really dealing with psychological safety, and particularly when it comes down to maybe some personal issues, and people need to sort of have some space to talk about that because it's impacting their work or what have you. And it really could get down to mental health emerged in the conversation, which is a topic that you got to make it safe to talk about mental health in the workplace. And it's kind of evolves to a very important topic that we have to help remove the stigma, I think, is really what it comes down to. And not be scared by some of the words or the focus, but just being real humans and caring for each other.
I love that. I mean, as a co-chair for Health and Wellness for the Mental Wellness Society, which is based out of Israel, I'm so passionate about the
Mm.
topic of removing the stigma of mental health issues. As someone who's been anxious my entire life, I kind of like my anxiety because it fuels me, and exercise has kind of always kept me calm. But I feel like these leaders need to be vulnerable, and I feel like that's their superpower if they let it be their superpower, because that way people will be able to relate to them more.
Well, 100%. Yeah. Once you show you're a human being and you actually are caring and curious about other people, it's amazing the space that you can open up for safe and authentic and really rich conversations. And it will drive a high performance culture because people will show up differently and perform differently and engage differently. I've seen it time and time again for those leaders that are willing to open up space for that, because it's not easy sometimes. Hmm.
I love that. And also too, as coaches, we need to bring the managers in as coaches too. Can you explain what that looks like?
No, 100%. Yeah, this is something that I have a real deep passion for as well, is really shifting the mindset that, we're paid as managers and leaders of people, and we've all been there, many of us been there, and we're paid to get results and to direct and to really guide, and shifting the mindset to, I can get stuff done with people as opposed to just by people. And it's really shifting that thinking that, what is my purpose? My purpose is really to help get something done. That's an outcome. But really, by shifting the thinking to, I'm really here to help develop people to do their best work, play to their strengths, have a healthy career, enjoy what they're doing, and leave sort of engaged and happier as an individual. And by shifting that purpose to creating a developmental approach to still get the same stuff done, but how can I help this person develop, leverage their strengths more, develop their strengths deeper, and have an impact in a constructive manner without just orchestrating or telling or dictating action, because then their mind isn't there. So I think that really is taking that manager as coach approach is something that I've been very passionate about for probably a decade now. And when managers break through their thought process, okay, I just got to get this done, as opposed to, okay, how can I make this into a developmental opportunity to help get the most effective results by truly engaging with the individual and understanding the individual, particularly their strengths and their preferences and how they want to work. It's it's profound. I get chills just thinking about the impact I've seen many leaders when they say that I get it now. Like when they see the shift in the behavioral changes within their direct reports and the teams they're leading, it's pretty powerful. And it gets me pretty excited, and keeps me fixed and sort of committed to keeping this conversation going on a much broader level.
I love this topic too, because just what you said, to me, it's a very definition of leadership is raising up other leaders with you, not by people, but with people is such a brilliant distinction,
Mhm.
because that's going to right there help solve some of the crisis that we're in with disengaged employees and quiet quitting. And how can we actually develop a highly engaged culture?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's something that's been my career for probably 30 years now, is really trying to engage people and making it how they engage. And it really comes down to, I don't know if you were, there's lots of books you can read out there, but one of the ones, if I can call this out, is certainly First Break All the Rules. And that's one of the most profound books I've found to really drive employee engagement. And it's connected to Gallup and that too. So, but really what it is about is try to get more out of what someone naturally is talented at, as opposed to trying to force something in that's not there and trying to manage around those things that are critical to people's roles. So sometimes you can't manage around it, then it's not a good fit. But if you have the right people in the right role with the right strengths, and really help develop them in those areas, you're going to have a truly engaged individual, because it's not really work, it's what they're good at, enjoy doing, and therefore they're going to deliver on what they need to deliver on while they're still developing themselves and getting deeper sort of experience of what they are good at, and then really contributing to a bigger purpose as well. So I think that's really what drives a lot of engagement, is making it safe. We've covered that already, but also really playing to people's strengths so they can do what they love to do and are good at it. It's pretty powerful to really get people to show up and be engaged and not be disengaged, or they're just filling a seat type of thing, because that's, as we all know, is a false sense of having capacity if someone's not engaged. So it's a really important element to help leverage those aspects.
Oh, well, there's so much to unpack there because, first of all, playing to people's strength, I think should apply to the leadership too, because if they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to do all the things and they can't delegate anything, then they're not trusting, and employees are going to want to feel trusted, to feel psychologically safe, and they're also going to want to be tied into the vision of the company, especially younger people. Do you want to speak to purpose and vision a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But having a bigger purpose beyond the role itself is very powerful. I know we used to talk a lot about mission and that, but mission has a historical sort of connotation to it. But when you shift it to purpose, every role has a purpose, every team has a purpose, every organization typically has a purpose. And with clarity of purpose, that really guides individuals' decisions, especially their discretionary decisions when someone's not watching or what they're just doing their job. Is, I know our purpose is to do X. Get to the moon is the big famous one. Well, that's what our focus is on. So whatever we're doing is helping that bigger purpose beyond ourselves. And when you can create that energy and that commitment to something bigger than individuals, it's pretty powerful to really drive a much higher sort of impact that we're striving for than just getting stuff done. And it's pretty rewarding when individuals commit to that, and that's what their purpose is as a leader. To go back to your earlier point, when a leader believes their role is to develop people, to be committed to something, to create something bigger than ourselves together, that's pretty powerful stuff, and really helps get people back into committing to something, as opposed to being skeptical about the world and the things that have gone on, as you've referred to. So I think it's very powerful to have that clarity around what is important and to focus on it. That gets into the purpose, and it also brings in vision and values. So we talked about purpose, value, or vision, but values also is critical, because we know what's important and what we value as an organization and as of individuals. That can really help guide our decision making on how we show up as well.
Yeah, I love the focus on vision and purpose. And I actually started this podcast in 2020 to help people become more unstoppable. And I
Mhm.
feel like with the vision and the engaged employees and the purpose, all the things that we talked about, do you have any tips for leaders out there how they can truly, in this disruptive, uncertain VUCA world we're living in right now, volatile, uncertain, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, how can we truly be unstoppable?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I actually wrote a chapter in a book called Unstoppable, which is kind of ironic. It just kind of popped on my radar. And really, the key to being unstoppable is being comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's a term that's emerging. I'm hearing it used more and more. And really letting people know your own vulnerabilities, to say, hey, we don't have the answer, but let's give it a go. Let's take some considered risks. Let's see what emerges, but let's be adaptable. Let's learn and not dwell on what did or didn't work. Let's say, okay, this is where we're at, what's emerging. And really, it goes into that deep theory of use stuff that some of us might have read about, is what is emerging and around us. It's not just something happening, but there's usually something deeper that's emerging. And if we can listen to what's emerging, then we can adjust accordingly so that we can achieve more without having the answers, because we don't know what things are going to. We think we do, and sometimes if we don't, they might hold us back, and then fear kicks in. So removing the fear of not happening as expected is okay. And if we create that space, here we're starting to see some connectivity to our conversation. Is if it's safe to make a mistake, if it's safe to speak up, if it's safe to share your authentic experience. We have a lot of uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen. This is what we think is going to happen. This is our vision. We talked about that. Here's what we're here to do. Let's just lean into it and see what happens, as long as we're being conscious about it and thoughtful. We don't want to be reckless about those things, but certainly with some considered risks, dialogue, sharing the experiences, and being open to feedback and responding to that feedback, I think we can get through a lot of this uncertainty and the scariness of the unknown, because who knows what is going to emerge. We cannot control that.
I agree with you. I don't have all the answers either. I only wish my crystal ball was right. But in all this disrupted world that I've been living in for the last 4 years and way before that, I really think what is required to be unstoppable is having a growth mindset when you are adaptable and flexible, and you can just kind of roll with what's happening now, instead of the old way of like, this is always how we do it. I hate that. Any
Yeah.
last pieces of advice you want to leave our audience with?
Well, I think really it's about caring for people. So really taking a caring approach. I brought the word love into the organization, and it was a bit awkward, particularly when it was a construction-based organization, and that I was a bit concerned about that. So I think as long as you care for people and bring the love, and I mean it in a way that's really a caring way, it really creates an environment that helps people feel more connected to whatever that purpose is, to whatever those values are, and really caring is important, and authentically caring and letting people be their authentic self. I think we as leaders are going to see profound impact on not just the task, but also on the overall impact the organization is having.
Well, I love all this whole topic. I could go on forever, but it's a short podcast.
Yeah.
And I especially feel like you're the real deal. Like, I feel like if anyone looks you up, they'll see that the numbers in your previous organization will back up more engaged team and more productive. So where can people find more of your good stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm a big active user of LinkedIn, but certainly I have a website too called thelegacycoaching.com. So I have launched that, and that gives you a bit more deeper insight to my story and what I have to offer. And certainly my track record can be definitely validated on just the improved engagement and so forth across pretty much every organization I've been in. So happy to link in with anybody or reach out to me directly through my website, thelegacycoaching.com, and be happy to have a discovery of how we may collaborate.
Well, Brian Hughes, I know I met you through our article we were both featured in and LinkedIn. So reach out to Brian Hughes. He's the real deal. And thank you so much for being a wonderful guest on the podcast.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, Lisa. Thank you for the invite.